The most powerful city in the world wasn't built by kings, it wasn't built by conquerors, it was built by slaves, by people who had nothing, not even their own names. They escaped in chains, sailed into a fog-shrouded lagoon, and vanished from history for over 100 years. And when they finally revealed themselves, they had built something that even Valyria, the greatest empire the world had ever known, could never destroy. This is the city of Braavos. 5 doors, 5 questions, and every single one of them will lead somewhere you do not expect. Door 1. Who built this city? Because the answer is the entire story. Long before the doom of Valyria, a fleet of slave ships was crossing the narrow sea. They were heading to a new colony on Sotheriosa, a continent of jungles, of bronze beasts that hunted men for sport, of red rivers that ran warm, a continent the Valyrian freehold used for one purpose, a dumping ground for the unwanted. On those ships were thousands, chained to oars, beaten into silence, destined to die. But something happened that the Valyrians never accounted for. The slaves rose up, they killed their masters, they seized the ships, and they sailed into the unknown. Now what happens next is part legend, part history, and the line between the two has never been settled. According to the Braavosi Chronicles, a group of slave women, they called themselves the Moon Singers, and they came from the distant Jogos Nye, prophesied a safe harbor, a lagoon hidden behind pine-clad hills and sea stones, so remote that even the dragons of Valyria would never find it. The fleet followed their vision, through a narrow channel, into a vast lagoon ringed by mountainous islands, and on 100 tiny mudflats, in silence, in fog, they began to build. So, Door 1 closes. The most powerful city in the world was not built by kings. It was built by people that history tried to erase. But here is where the story breaks. If they escaped, why didn't anyone notice? Why didn't Valyria send dragons? Why didn't any mapmaker record a new city rising on 100 islands just off the trade routes to the Jade Sea? The answer is the most dangerous thing in this city, and it isn't a building. Door 2. Why did no one know? For 111 years, that is the exact number in the Chronicles, the city of Braavos did not exist, not on any map, not in any sailor song, not in any dispatch any spy ever sent. The first generation died in that silence. Their children died in that silence. Their grandchildren died in that silence. 3 generations passed, and the world still had no idea a city was rising on those mudflats. And while they hid, this is the part that still amazes historians, they built. Granite towers rising from 100 islands, a labyrinth of canals and stone bridges, a fleet of warships with purple hulls, and a bank. 16 men, 7 women, 23 founders, each with Aiki vaults beneath the city. Their descendants, now over 1,000 of them, are called the Keyholders, and while they hid, the world's greatest empire burned itself out, watched the dragons die, and never once looked behind a wall of pines and sea stones to find a city waiting. So Door 2 closes, a city that hid for over a century, built a bank, built a navy, built itself into a fortress, and on the 111th anniversary revealed itself to the world. That moment was called the Uncloaking. A sea lord sent ships to every corner of the known world. He invited every nation, every merchant, every prince to come and see what the slaves had made. And when the world arrived, they saw something they had never seen before, a city built from nothing. No Valyrian architecture, no dragon gates, no slave quarters, just granite, bronze, and the will of free people. Door 3. A 400-foot guardian, a structure that still stands today, guarding the entrance to the lagoon, the Titan of Braavos, nearly 400 feet tall, cut from granite and bronze, a warrior in eternal vigil, bestriding the only channel in the entire world that leads into the city. Every ship that approaches Braavos must pass between his legs. When a ship is sighted, the Titan roars, a deafening blast, echoing across the entire lagoon. Not a signal, a statement that says, "You entered our waters, we see you, and we have been waiting 100 years to see you." The archway between the Titan's legs was carved by 3 generations of sculptors and stonemasons. And Lomas Longstrider, the wandering septon who wrote The Wonders of the World, placed it on a list of only 4 wonders made by man. The Titan of Braavos stands beside Valyrian roads, the triple walls of Karth, the wall in the north. There is no 5th. The Titan has not been attacked since the Century of Blood. A guardian that huge implies something worth guarding, So what lies beyond the Titan's shadow? The Arsenal of Braavos. Door 4, the navy that built itself. The arsenal is the largest shipyard in the known world. Fortified walls bristling with scorpions and trebuchets, quays and docks stretching as far as the eye can see, and inside something that has no equal anywhere else on the planet. Braavosi shipbuilders construct every war galley to the exact same design. Every part is standardized. Every craftsman knows exactly how his piece fits into the whole. So instead of one ship taking months, the arsenal builds them in a single day. A single galley, built in a single day. That's door 4 closing. A navy that replaces itself in a day. All of it must be funded. And now we get to the door that kings fear. The Iron Bank of Braavos is not a bank, the way you understand the word. It is the most powerful financial institution that has ever existed in the known world. Kings borrow from the Iron Bank. Princes borrow from the Iron Bank. The Iron Throne itself, the throne of the 7 kingdoms, owes the Iron Bank millions of gold dragons. And the Iron Bank has a simple policy. If you don't pay, they fund your enemy. The phrase is known across the world. 3 words, the Iron Bank will have its due. The records are clear. When the Iron Throne defaulted on its debts during Robert Baratheon's reign, the Iron Bank didn't send soldiers. They sent gold to Stannis Baratheon, the man trying to take the throne. When Aerys the Mad King threatened to build a war fleet to bring the Titan to his knees, the Lannisters paid the crown's debts in full. Rather than face the alternative, nobody fights the Iron Bank. But the Iron Bank isn't the only ancient institution hiding beneath Braavos. There is a structure older than the bank, older than the arsenal, older than the city itself. In the heart of the lagoon, on a small island, a temple that is half black and half white. Inside, death is worshipped as a god. The Faceless Men. They predate Braavos itself. They began in the volcanic slave mines of old Valyria, in tunnels where thousands died every year in agony. A figure of unknown origins began giving those dying the gift, a quick end, a merciful release. And over time, he gave the same gift to the masters who owned those mines. They learned to become no one. After the doom, the surviving Faceless Men came north, to Braavos. The city founded by escaped slaves was the only possible home for an order born in the slave pits. They built the House of Black and White on its own island. There they worshiped the many-faced god, a god of death, a god who wears 1,000 faces but is only one. They offer a painless death to anyone who seeks it. And for a price, and the price varies, the more important the target, the higher the price, they offer death to anyone else. Not once have they failed a contract. Not once. They have ended marriages, ended dynasties, reshaped the politics of the known world from a single temple on a single island. Here is where the deepest door, the 5th door we planted at the start, opens. There was a water dancing instructor in King's Landing once. His name was Syrio Forel. He taught a girl named Arya Stark how to fight with a slender blade. He taught her the Braavosi way, sideways stance, light on the feet, no armor. And he told her, there is only one God, what do we say to the god of death? Not today. He was the first sword of Braavos, the Sea Lord's champion, and he died for a girl he had no reason to save. Or, and this is the deepest cut of the story, he didn't die at all. Perhaps he walked home to the lagoon in a different face, past the Titan, into the House of Black and White. Perhaps on a stone altar, he whispered a name we will never learn, and became no one. We don't get to know. That is not how this story ends. Now, here is the part that ties every door together, the same seed. Every institution in Braavos grew from the same root. The slaves who escaped built a city that would never be enslaved again. That is why the Titan stands guard. That is why the arsenal can replace a fleet in a single day. That is why the Iron Bank holds the debts of kings, because the founders knew money is the only weapon that can defeat an army. And that is why the Faceless Men found a home there, because the city was founded by people who had faced death and refused to bow. The water dance survives because there are no slaves to learn from. The Sea Lord is elected. He serves for life, but some serve shorter lives than others when policy must change. The knives find a way. The city doesn't forget. It has fought 6 wars with Pentos alone over the last 2 centuries. It won 4. After each, the first term of peace has been the abolition of slavery. Always. In a planet built by emperors and kings and dragonlords, the most powerful city was built by the invisible. No dragons, no Valyrian steel, no noble blood, Just each other, just the lagoon, and 111 years obsolence they used to the last breath. When Syrio Forel told Arya Stark that there is only one God and his name is death, he wasn't quoting a scripture. He was telling her the truth of his people. A people who had faced death on slave ships, in labor camps, in the forgotten corners of the Valyrian Empire, and had refused to die. They sailed into the fog. They built a city, and the world still bows to it. Valar Morghulis. All men must die, but the city they built? It might just live forever. If you liked this video, hit like and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this.